Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us here on the Game of Two Halves podcast, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show and proudly brought to you by our major sponsor, the Gordon. My name's Tonchi Prusak. I'm your host for this evening's show. It is episode 121. Indeed, season 5, episode 21, which means we've had 21 episodes this year, and it's the special grand final preview edition of the Game of Two Halves podcast. That's right, all the attention now turns to the Geelong region local competitions, and this weekend coming, it is going to be an absolute bonanza of local football. The weather gods have turned it on. Over the next week or so, we are going to have mid-25 degree temperatures. The weather is going to be perfect. The pitches are going to be perfect. So it augurs well for what should be an absolute bumper weekend of local football. We'll be covering it all tonight, folks. We'll be covering all from the local juniors all the way to the senior men's and the women's. We'll be looking at the lower divisions, but also we'll be previewing especially the Division 1 grand finals. And as a result, we've got tonight lined up, we've got a massive lineup of guests. We've got the combatants of the Women's Division 1 Grand Final, Surf Coast and Deakin Ducks, and their respective coaches, Surf Coast's Mark WYETH and Deakin Ducks' gaffer Tom Rogers. They'll be joining us a little bit later on in the show. And then it's time to turn our attention to the Men's Division 1 Grand Final in Bell Park, taking on Armstrong United, and there's a bit of a grudge match in this one. It should be a very interesting game because this is that Armstrong United was the team that knocked out Bell Park last year after Bell Park had managed to secure the minor premiership, and then Armstrong United went on to play in the grand final. And this time, these two teams will be meeting in the grand final. So we will have ROCKY CARUSO, the coach of Bell Park, and the team captain, MIJO MARINOVIC, and they'll be joining Armstrong United's coach, GAVAN Walker, on the show a little bit later on. And before that, we've got lots of news as well, and we're going to take a look at all the semi-final results played over the weekend. A big thank you to our major sponsor, the Gordon. They've really stepped in the latter half of this season, and they will ensure that we see this season out. So a massive thank you goes out to the Gordon, and a big thank you to all the sponsors and advertisers throughout the year that have also jumped on board. We're going to take a very short break. When we do return, it will be time for our for looking at the week that was, or the weekend that was, I should say. Folks, don't go away.
Your future is in your hands. There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty. Grab what's in front of you. Learn by doing. Turn your passion, your ideas, and mould them into your creations. You'll be supported the entire way. You'll grow your skills in small classes, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll learn in state-of-the-art facilities or out in a real-world workplace setting. Your hands-on experience will increase your understanding and put you ahead of your university peers. You'll graduate work-ready and you'll graduate sooner, with a huge range of qualifications to choose from and support services to enable your success. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, and we're going to get straight into the news for this week. But before we look at the results of the semi-finals played over the weekend, some latest news with regards to Western United's home ground. And local radio station K-Rock reports that Western United is getting ready to finally play home matches at its new training ground in Tarneit. The A-League franchise has divided home games between Geelong, Ballarat and Melbourne during its first 4 seasons, while the regional football facility in Tarneit was being built. Director of Football Steve Horvath told local radio outlet K-Rock News it was an exciting time for players and the club. It's the first season in our 5th year that we'll be moving to our new purpose-built training facility, firmly in the west of Melbourne and just up the road from Geelong, he said. At some point this season, throughout the summer, we will move over there and play the majority of our home games, both with the A-League women and A-League men. The men's first game of the season will be against Melbourne City at the Melbourne Rectangular Stadium on October 21st from 5:30 p.m. The women kick off their season on October 14 against Perth Glory. And there we can see some of the both the current photos and also the artists' impressions of what eventually the facility will look like. So that's some good news for football in the off-season. When I say the off-season, the winter off-season, that's for sure. Let's have a look. First of all, we're going to look at the juniors, and these are the semi-final results played over the weekend. So we'll start off with the girls. They call it the under-12, under-13 division, but they might as well just call it the under-13s, I think, just to make things less complicated. But Football Victoria do things very, very complicated. And let me just say, it was very difficult today getting all the results collated because the Football Victoria website is not very much updated. And when I tried to contact the competitions department at Football Victoria, all I got was an answering machine. I'm sure something that most clubs have found the case this season. Anyway, let's get back to what happened on the field and not what happened off the field. But the girls under 13 semi-finals saw Surf Coast defeat Barwon 5-0, and Corio defeated Geelong Soccer Club 3-1 on penalties. After extra time, it was 0-0. So girls under 12, under 13's grand final will see Surf Coast taking on Corio. The girls under 14, under 15's semi-finals saw Surf Coast Yellow defeat Barwon 2-1, and the North Geelong Warriors defeat Ballarat by the same scoreline of 2-1. So obviously that means that Surf Coast Yellow will take on North Geelong Warriors in the girls under 14-under 15 grand final. Moving on to the boys junior semi-finals in the under 12 Wallabies division. In the boys section, the Breakwater Eagles defeated FC Leopold 7-3. Corio defeated Colac Otway Rovers 2-0. So Breakwater Eagles taking on Corio in the grand final. The boys under 12 Kangaroos semi-final saw the Breakwater Eagles defeat Armstrong United 3-1. Surf Coast defeated Geelong Soccer Club 3-2 in a thriller. So Breakwater Eagles taking on Surf Coast in the under 12 boys Kangaroos final. Boys under 13s saw Barwon Blue defeat Surf Coast 4-0. A very one-sided game here, as was the result in the FC Leopold Surfside Waves clash. FC Leopold running out 3-0 winners. So Barwon Blue taking on FC Leopold in the under 13 semi-final, boys semi-final. Moving along now to the under-14 boys semi-final. Surfside Waves defeated Geelong Rangers 2-0. And Corio defeated Bowen Blue 3-2 after extra time. Surfside Waves to take on Corio in the under-14 grand final. And last but not least, as far as the juniors is concerned, in the boys under-16 semi-finals, Bowen White defeated Bowen Heads 2-0. And Bowen Blue defeated Bell Park 2-1, setting an all-Bowen grand final. Oh, there's a lot at stake there. Not only bragging rights, but obviously the title of champion. So Bowen White taking on Bowen Blue in that one. That's going to be a phenomenal game. So unfortunately, we don't have the times of those junior games. The fixtures aren't up yet, but do keep an eye out on the football or the Geelong region football competition website, and you'll find that out, no doubt, in the next few days. Let's turn our attention now to the women's. Division 1 semi-final saw Deakin Ducks defeat Bell Park 2-1. For the Ducks, Hannah Harrison scored in the 58th minute. Then Alicia Santoro equalised for Bell Park in the 68th minute, and then in the 79th minute, Meg Reuters scored the winner. Surf Coast defeated Bowen Soccer Club 1-0 after extra time, with Kayla Witkolski scoring in the 98th minute, setting up an awesome Deakin Ducks Surf Coast grand final, a repeat of last year's final. In Division 2, Corio Bay defeated FC Leopold 2-0. Daisy Sanders in the 22nd minute and Megan Falzon in the 44th minute for the Cobras. In the other semi-final, Geelong defeated Golden Plains by 1-0, courtesy of an Isabella Scafidi goal in the 64th minute. So in the curtain raiser, Corio Bay will take on Geelong Soccer Club. If we move along now to the fixtures. Now, this is not confirmed because we haven't got the confirmed times. We'll speak to our guests and hopefully they may have some more information a bit later on. But all the games will be at Myers Reserve. They're being played on Saturday, and the Division 2 game, the grand final, will see Corio Bay taking on Geelong Soccer Club. The Division 1 game, the main game, Deakin Ducks taking on Surf Coast. We then move along to the men's competition. In Division 1, Armstrong United defeated Surf Coast 2-1. Stephen Poyka scored in the 39th minute for Armstrong United. And then for Surf Coast, Milo Mullins-Gange equalised 3 minutes later. He received his marching orders, Mullins-Gange, around about the 83rd, 84th minute. And Cal Garitzin scored from a penalty in the 83rd minute. So Surf Coast have bombed out. Armstrong United move along to the big dance next week, where they will be taking on Bell Park, who defeated Bowen Blue 3-0. MIJO Marinovic, tonight's guest and the captain as well. He scored in the 10th minute, and then Tony Tassoni scored in the 58th and the 83rd minute. Around about the 79th minute, Morris Delvecchio received his second bookable offence and was shown the red card. So he will miss Bell Park's game next week, the grand final, which is a bit of a blow to Bell Park, but we'll be speaking to their coach, Rocky Caruso, and the captain, MIJO Marinovic, a little bit later on, and they'll tell us exactly what went down in that game. In Division 2, Lara United defeated Corio Soccer Club 2-0. Jake Parker in the 15th minute and Chazon Grang in the 62nd minute, a penalty. They'll meet Geelong Soccer Club, who defeated Drysdale 3-0. Michael Tamilkovsky, 2 goals, and Jordan Rendevsky scoring 1. And Geelong Soccer Club will be looking to make it back-to-back championships after last year taking out the Division 3 championship. And they now move on to the Division 2 grand final this weekend. In Division 3, Lara United defeated the Deakin Ducks by the only goal of the game, scored by Daniel Setchell in the 50th minute, a 1-0 win to the Navy Blues. And Corio Bay completed a very, very good weekend for the Evans Reserve Club. They defeated Armstrong United 2-0. D. McNamara scored in the 34th and the 64th minute. So all the games, all the grand final games will be played at Hume Reserve this Sunday. To be confirmed at 12 p.m. kickoff, Division 3 game is Lara United taking on Corio Bay. That will be followed by the Division 2 grand final, Lara United taking on Geelong Soccer Club. And then the big one, Division 1 grand final, Bell Park taking on Armstrong United. Now, please, folks, those times are not guaranteed. They're not set in stone at the moment, unless someone can probably find out in the next whether it's happening or not. The semi-final, Veshka Bigovic says the semi-final between Corio and Lara could change waiting on FFE ruling. Lara played players who weren't allowed to play. Well, there's an interesting thing. There's never an end to the controversy surrounding local football. So watch that space. There could be something as well happening in the next few days, and possibly that may well be the reason why the fixtures have not been announced yet. Now, apart from the local league, we've also had some results over the last weekend or so. Some of the achievements by some of the local Geelong junior clubs that are taking part up in Melbourne competition. So if we go first of all to the girls, we've got the girls Northwest 15 division, under 15B division. North Geelong Warriors finished on top there. And then we've also got the under 16B, where North Geelong also ended up on top. But we also had Bowen that finished in third position. Now, a great result, a great achievement there by Bowen. The under 16 girls finished their league season with a 3-0 win over Yarraville Glory, and they finished third. But look at that. Mia McCroach-Cripps finished the league's top scorer with 45 goals, and Olivia Bradshaw was third with 27. So some excellent results there, by achievements there in the girls under 15 and under 16 competition by both North Geelong and Bowen as well. Moving along now to what have we got next? We've got the Geelong Rangers, speaking of girls, in the under-12 girls Metro Northwest division, the Wallabies division. The Geelong Rangers girls are champions for 2023. So well done to the Geelong Rangers girls. They did very, very well there and getting themselves the champions title for 2023. Speaking of the Geelong Rangers, the under-12 boys Metro West Wallabies also are champions for the 2023 season, needing a win. Yesterday, they secured top spot. The boys showed great determination to come back from 0-1 down to win 3-1. The coach of that side, Stuart Mallon, who's been a big, big supporter of this show over the last few years. So congratulations to Stuart and congratulations to everyone involved at Geelong Rangers in that one as well. And to the under-14 boys Metro West A team, they secured top spot last weekend and they were crowned champions of the 2023 season. So it is fantastic to see teams doing so well across the board in the Melbourne competition. Can't forget as well the Geelong Soccer Club under-12 girls team. They also ended up on top spot. How exciting was this? They won in their final game a 12-0 result over Yarra Jets, and as a result, they overtook Heidelberg United because of better goal difference and claimed a league title for the Northwest Under-12s Kangaroos division. That would have been an absolutely climactic final day's competition, and all eyes would have been obviously on the other result as well. So some fantastic results by some of the teams in local competitions, as well as some of the local clubs playing in Melbourne competitions as well. So well done to everyone involved. We're going to take a very, very short break. When we do return, folks, we will be we'll be talking to our main guest for tonight, our first main guest for tonight. We'll be talking to Mark Wyeth. He's the coach of the Surf Coast Senior Women's team. And we'll also be talking to Tom Rogers. He's the coach of the Deakin Ducks Senior Women's team. Those two teams will be doing battle this Sunday in the Geelong Region Women's Division 1 Grand Final at Myers Reserve. Folks, don't go away. coming up with our first pair of guests for tonight.
Are you too busy running your own business to worry about your financials? Allow J Hill Books to focus on your books so you can focus on your core business. Based in Lara, Geelong, J Hill Books owner, operator and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in finance administration. The world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Books services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. You will know how your business is tracking as often as you need, whether that is on a weekly, monthly or quarterly basis. You can be satisfied that you are meeting your legal requirements to your staff and to the ATO. And deadlines will no longer be stressful for you. Let J Hill Books take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show and brought to you by the Gordon. It's time now for our first guest. First guests tonight. We'll start off with introducing a man who's been on the show before, and then he might have been on the very, very first show of the first episode of the year. It's a big welcome to Mark WYETH, the Surf Coast coach. Good evening, Mark. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Tonchi. Yeah, glad to come along and have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was the first episode of the season that you came on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
It seems like yesterday. It's just been so quick. But mate, how have you seen the season so far? Well,
yeah, look, it's been an interesting one. Certainly, I haven't been involved where we've had a split. We've had sort of everyone thrown in together and then the split round. So I think it worked for some. It didn't work for others. But yeah, I think we sort of ended up with the top 8 sides in Div 1, which was great. And then obviously the second half of the season was really competitive. I mean, you look at the top 4 and there's absolutely nothing between them. I don't like every other team we played, Deakin, Bowen, Bell Park. I think it was only a goal difference in every single one. So, it's been. I've talked to players from other teams as well, and they said the same thing. The second half's been fantastic. They've really enjoyed the football and had really competitive games. So, it's been good.
Yeah, it's a grand final rematch from last year, that's for sure, when Surf Coast prevailed last year. But in this occasion, the Ducks will be very, very keen to exact a bit of revenge. And then they finished on top by virtue of goal difference, but they'll be very, very keen to atone this for last year's effort. And it's a big welcome to the show to Thomas Ketch Rogers. How are you, Thomas? Great to have you on the show, the Deakin Ducks coach. Mate, first of all, welcome to the show. Welcome to the program. How you been?
Thank you very much, Tonch. And hello, Mark, as well. Doing quite well.
Yeah, now, if we take a look at the ladder, Tom, if we look there, Deakin Ducks on top by 24 points, but Surf Coast as well, same amount of points, but just a slightly inferior goal difference. But for long periods of that second part, if you like, the champions group, if you like, the Division 1, you guys were invincible, unable to be dethroned off the top. You had a really good patch there where it was just things were doing really, really well. That augurs well for the grand final, obviously coming up on Sunday. You've obviously had a very, very successful year as a team. But behind the scenes, how have you seen the girls gel and develop? And have you been, as a coach, I guess you're never 100% happy, 100% satisfied. But how have you seen it all from your point of view behind the scenes?
Yeah, look, the Deakin Ducks is a good place to play and manage football. It was quite a difficult start of the year, especially with the split, because we were the only team in the league that had 2 teams. Our Div 2 team really got demolished most weeks, which is quite upsetting. And we struggled to find form because we felt it wasn't overly important and we didn't have everything on the line, that the ladder made a huge difference. We knew the points were going to be wiped, and we were actually really lucky. We finished, I believe, 8th. I think we snuck in by the skin of our teeth into the second half of the year. But we regrouped and we started to play an older style of football that the Ducks are more used to, and the real social aspect around the club and everyone's, enjoyment of the game just went to another level.
Yeah, Mark, what's your take on how the league was structured this year? Obviously, it was everyone in it together, and even the best teams playing the worst teams and what you're not. But then, obviously, that's split at the halfway mark of the season. How did you see the structure, the competition structure in 2023?
Look, I'm probably the same as Ketch. I don't think it sorted out who was a top 8 and those kind of things, but I don't think it was great. Personally, I think we had some games that, I think we had one game we won 14-0. No one enjoyed that. We didn't enjoy it. The team we played didn't enjoy it. We also played teams who, because they weren't, because they were clearly Div 2 teams, which is fine and that's great, but it brought the whole game down to that level. So if I talk to my players, they didn't actually enjoy playing those games because it just became scrappy and dirty games as well. And it was just because it was just no one was really enjoying it. So that would be my feedback. Was I don't certainly the second half we've enjoyed it a lot more. As I say, I think everyone's and the whole comp. I think it's been good. It's given an opportunity for teams like Gold Park and that kind of thing. But I think they were going to go up. They should have gone up anyway because I think they finished second last season anyway. So my feedback would be absolutely. I think we just pick whatever it is, 2 up, 2 down, or 3 up, 3 down, and just do it from now on, and just stick with it going forward.
All right, now moving ahead to this Sunday. Tom, look, last year it's a grand final replay of last year. Surf Coast piped you at the post then, but you're determined to reverse the fortunes this year. What do you see as a Surf Coast's? What's the hardest thing about coming up against Surf Coast?
Well, I'd like to jump in straight away there. I know one of my captain Andy did a graphic the other day about the grand finals recently, and I think this is the 6th in a row that we've been in. So that core group of players really should take it upon themselves to be really proud to be able to get to this position every year. In regards last year, it was a really tough day. I know the weather was a bit of a factor. It definitely had a lot of wind going one direction, and I think we started on the back foot because I was in the dugout with Tom Maddox, the coach at the time, and we started poorly. I think we only started 1 or 2 goals up for that half, and then coming back out playing into the wind was a much more difficult game. And as your podcast says, it was the game of two halves, unfortunately. But the group's really looking forward to this Saturday. There's no team that we prefer to play football against. I know that we had all our preseason games this year and last year against Surf Coast and Mark's team. They're a lovely group of players, and it's just going to be a great battle. Yeah.
Have we got any details from Football Victoria as far as times or confirmation of times for Saturday?
No, I have been keeping up with Sports TG, but nothing's been updated yet. You said 3 o'clock and I chucked it straight on the group chat, but I did have to wind back a little bit to confirm that it wasn't set in stone.
Yeah, no, that's just speculation, pure speculation on our part. Mark, you haven't heard anything?
No, look, same thing. I've heard a bit of speculation at around 3 p.m. kind of thing, which wouldn't surprise me. I'm assuming that the Div 2 will go before us. So, yeah, I would imagine it'll be around about that time frame.
Yeah. I mean, it is up at MIJO's reserve, is it not? Yeah.
I would guess so as well. Given the semis were there last week, I'm assuming that we'll be back there again.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, unfortunately, that we're in grand final week and we're still not 100% certain of where we're going to be playing and what time. But That's maybe something for Geelong Region Football Committee and all the clubs to take up with Football Victoria. We know what is happening at the moment at Football Victoria. There is all sorts of turmoil going on. But looking ahead now, further ahead, Mark, we had Brett King, the Surf Coast president, on the show recently, and he did say how the club is exploring the idea of potentially playing in Melbourne, so potentially fielding a team in the State League women's competition in Melbourne. How's that all coming along? Or have you been focusing more on obviously the grand finals and the local and semi-finals here? But have you heard? Has there been much interest, and has there been any further development with regards to that?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. We're just talking about it tonight. We had our committee meeting just before this, and yeah, so we're busy putting together starting to put together a strategy around what the future looks like. So really having a long-term plan. We definitely want it to be a long-term thing. It's not something that we would just jump at and buy a team and chuck it in there and go for it.
Yep.
It's certainly got to be that. So we're looking at all options. We're definitely looking at our girls as well, and boys as well, as around what the options are around Metro, and if there are options to send some of our younger teams up to Melbourne as well. So just looking at options and putting the feelers out to see what the interest is. You've got to have that commitment, both whether it's seniors or juniors, but certainly we've got huge numbers coming through. And like, as you saw in the weekend, we had our under 13s and under 15s both make it through the grand finals, and our girls as well. So we've got we got two teams in the 15s, and I think we got so going really, really well. Got great numbers, really strong. So certainly keen to build as a whole club rather than just trying to throw one team up into Melbourne sort of thing. So just watch the space. There's more planning to do. But we're certainly keen to keep growing and keeping. Really, it's about making sure we got opportunities for those young players coming through, who are really exciting to watch them play and see all the success they're having as well. So.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Tom, over to you. Now, this year also saw a really interesting thing, an exciting thing happen at Deakin Ducks, where the club started. I won't say dabbling, but started offering mini roos as an offer as well for the first time in its illustrious history. Deakin now has juniors as well. That not only provided some of the young kiddies and of some of the past players and current players, but it's also provided some of the current players an opportunity to coach at that level as well. And how's the program gone? And obviously, with the success of the recent Women's World Cup, are the Ducks looking at expanding their junior and maybe even girls teams for 2024?
Yeah, so we've definitely looked at juniors for a few years now. And as someone that is currently coaching, I think it's extremely beneficial. I know that I got all my opportunities at my local club up in Albury-Wodonga, the Wodonga Diamonds. So starting there, they put me through coaching courses and referees courses just to get a full understanding of the game, and we are really looking into that at Deakin as well. So I think this year was under 6s, under 7s, and we are looking to continue that through. So next year it'll be 7, 8s, and then onward from there. We don't want to shoot for the stars and go too early, but we definitely want to make progression through the club, because that's one of the things that's really beneficial to me. I see juniors as the core of the club, and especially the parents that are going to be most of your volunteers. They are the absolute crux and backbone.
Yeah. Now, we touched on the success of the recent Women's World Cup, and you listen to clubs everywhere and media reports and this and that. The level of interest in women's soccer, girls soccer, is really starting to explode. There's a lot of inquiries. I guess it's come at the wrong time, just as our season is finishing. But we did have a Dermot Tebb from the Futsal Geelong on recently, and they're just rubbing their hands at the prospect of an absolute bumper summer season. But has the club in particular already started receiving a lot of expressions of interest for next year, a lot of inquiries, lots of talk about, maybe joining the Deakin Ducks, or the Duckettes as they are affectionately known?
We have In some regards, we are in a tough position because we've only got one field, so we can't try and bring in a huge number of teams because we're already so compact on one ground. I think the Matildas are the biggest international sporting team in Australia at the moment, and I love my Ashes cricket more than anyone and my Socceroos, but I think the Matildas are just another level. And I love seeing all the young boys, all the young men really looking up to these women that are amazing athletes.
I absolutely agree there. Mark, what about yourself? What about it down at Surf Coast? I mean, with Adrian Leah, former Socceroo, who's also the football director there, and he's got his Curva coaching clinics being run sort of concurrently with the club, and he's obviously gearing up for a big summer season. Has the interest been there already now for 2024? Because I know a lot of clubs now are actually starting to send out expressions of interest for next year and things like that. So the planning has to happen before the current season's even finished, which is totally weird. But in this day and age, it's almost a necessity.
I agree, Tonchi. And yeah, we're fully expecting that we'll see a boost going into next season. Starting to plan for it already to make sure we've got the capacity and we're planning for it as well. And great partnership with Adrian down there and Cova. Look, they do a fantastic job, and it's, again, what we talked about, it's giving the opportunities for kids at every level. So if you just want those kids to do the kick around, there's those programs, but it also means those kids who are really serious and want a little bit extra. You absolutely want to give them that opportunity so they don't have to go off to Melbourne or those kind of like the clubs in Melbourne and things. They can actually get like world-class coaching like down here in Geelong, which is amazing. And I know Adrian, it's not just Surf Coast, he does it across the region, which is just fantastic to have that kind of coaching available down here in Geelong and on the Surf Coast is just phenomenal. So so we'll be certainly having all those programs like we always do, but certainly looking forward to more numbers coming in and more kids playing football or soccer every week, and getting out on the pitch. So luckily we do have the advantage. We've got a little bit more room than down at Deakin. But it's it's just great to have the kids. I mean, we had a Friday night. I'm still a bit sore. We had our hub coaches versus the President's 11. So that was a bit of fun. I'm never going to live down missing a sitter in front. Anyway, we won't talk about that anymore.
You brought it up. We didn't bring it up.
But no, look, just another example. Like as I say, there's so many people. The feeling around the club has been like I've never felt down there. It's just been amazing. And Friday night was just another example just of, just an amazing feeling up in the club rooms afterwards. We've had great sponsors come on board as well and meals and everything else. So, sort of Thursday night, Friday night, there's meals after hub and after training as well. So just an amazing feeling down at the club. And I think if we take that into next year, I'm sure we'll have another successful year as well. So it's really good.
Just recapping the results from the semi-finals played on the weekend. The Ducks defeated Bell Park 2-1 there, and Surf Coast defeating Barwon 1-0 after extra time. Now, Mark, we've asked Tom what he finds the hardest thing about coming up against Surf Coast. But what about yourself? You've had some epic battles over the years, and no doubt Saturday is going to be certainly one for the record books. But what do you find most hardest about coming up against the Deakin Ducks?
Agree. We love playing Deakin. They're a fantastic side, and they're always strong. And again, we're certainly coming in, I think, this year underdogs. I read last year was 55th, but certainly I think this year definitely, I feel like one of the dogs they've been certainly in the second half, the team to beat. And set the standard. So across the board, I mean, I went down and watched them before the game, do a bit of reconnaissance to see how they played. And they played like they always do. They're really strong down back. They're really solid through the middle, and then they've got some guns up front. So there's no weakness across the whole pitch with them. And I think that's the toughest thing is trying to match up against them. You've actually got to be strong across the board. And so that will be the biggest challenge on the weekend is trying to make sure, and then trying to get a goal somewhere in there as well. They're just a gun side across the board. But a fantastic group of girls as well. Always love playing them. I talk to my players and they say the same thing. They are the favourite team we like to play. Even though they're the hardest team, we love to play them the best because they play really good football, really fair, and it's just a great challenge for us. So really, really looking forward to this Saturday to, go out and watch two teams and hopefully have a great grand final, and we'll see who wins on the day.
Yeah, Thomas. Mark says such nice things, such noble things, and I know Mark very well. We did a coaching course early in the year, as a gentleman of a bloke. But on Saturday, I should say, when the game starts, that white line fever, when the girls cross it, there's no friends for those 90 minutes or so. Is there? Any final words ahead of Saturday's big blockbuster?
Not overly. I definitely focus on our style of football. I tell them every week that they're the best team in the league and they should go out there with the confidence to play their style of football. I don't think that whether we come up against them or we come against, Melbourne Victory women, I want to go out there and play our style of football. So obviously they're a dangerous team and they've got a lot of assets as well. But I went down and watched their game and I didn't really take notes because I just want them to play their style of football. They're the best team in the league. They've got 16 amazing players and they just need to go out there and show it.
Brilliant. Well, gents, thank you for coming on the special grand final preview edition of the Game of Two Halves. We wish you both well. The weather forecast, according to my Apple iPhone, says 25 degrees and sunny, and normally it's not accurate, but let's hope it is accurate and it is around about that, because it would be perfect condition for the season decider up at Myers Reserve. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Conch.
Yep.
That was Mark Wyeth from Surf Coast and Tom Rogers from Deakin Ducks. Folks, we're going to take a bit of a commercial break. When we return, it's time to turn our attention and focus on the men's Division 1 competition. And we'll be speaking to Gavin Walker, the coach of the Armstrong United senior men's team, and we'll also be talking to the coach and captain, respectively, of the Bell Park men's team, the ROCKY CARUSO and MIJO MARINOVIC. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back with the Game of Two Halves podcast.
Your future is in your hands. There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty. Grab what's in front of you. Learn by doing. Turn your passion, your ideas, and mould them into your creations. You'll be supported the entire way. You'll grow your skills in small classes, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll learn in state-of-the-art facilities or out in a real-world workplace setting. Your hands-on experience will increase your understanding and put you ahead of your university peers. You'll graduate work-ready, and you'll graduate sooner, with a huge range of qualifications to choose from and support services to enable your success. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. We're into the second half of this show, or shall we say the second part of the grand final preview edition. And it's time now to talk the men's game, men's Division 1, and we'll quickly take a recap at the results played over the weekend in Division 1. Armstrong United defeated Surf Coast 2-1. Bell Park defeated Barn Blue 3-0. We'll be speaking to the respective coaches of Armstrong United and Bell Park, and indeed the goal scorer of that first goal for Bell Park, MIJO MARINOVIC, in a second. But let's recount the Division 2 and Division 3 results. In Division 2, Lara United defeated Corio 2-0, but we are hearing there is some controversy associated with that result, and there could be some news to come out of Football Victoria during the week, but we'll stay tuned for that. Geelong Soccer Club defeated Drysdale Soccer Club 3-0. And then moving along to the third division, Division 3, Lara United defeated Deakin Ducks 1-0. And Corio Bay defeated Armstrong United 2-0. So the men's grand final fixtures at the moment, as they stand, all games being played at Hume Reserve this Sunday. Division 3, Lara United taking on Corio Bay. Division 2, Lara United taking on Geelong Soccer Club. And Division 1, Bell Park taking on Armstrong United. And it is my pleasure, firstly, to welcome the captain and the coach of the Bell Park side that has progressed through to the final. And it's a big welcome to MIJO Marinovic and ROCKY CARUSO. How are you, gents? How's things? Hello, we've got him on air. Unfortunately, it looks like we can see him, but we can't hear him. So there's obviously an issue with the microphones there. We're going to welcome our guest as well. He's the coach of the Armstrong United team, GAVAN Walker. And hopefully we're having a bit more luck with GAVAN. GAVAN, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, good time to yourself.
Very good, very good. Oh, we've got you on. We're going to try and see if we can get the other two gentlemen from Bell Park Soccer Club. Good evening, boys. Are we there? Hello, MIJO, and hello, ROCKY. We can see him. We just can't hear him. It's just not happening, unfortunately. We're going to go back to here. GAVAN, first of all, congratulations into the grand final for the second consecutive year. How did you see this year, first of all?
Well, look, it's a better year than last year. I think having 9 teams in the league and a bit of consistency around that's really kind of helped the whole league. I think there's been 6 really strong teams, and Bar and White have also kind of put a bit of battle as well this year. So I think the league structure has been a lot better. In terms of ourselves, we tend to put ourselves under a bit of pressure. We never seem to start the season well, but I think we've only dropped points since June once, and that was against Bell Park a couple of weeks ago. So the boys are hitting form at the right time again, like they did last year. So we're really proud of the effort. Really proud of kind of the back half of the season.
Hopefully we've got the MIJO Marinovic and ROCKY CARUSO on. Boys, are we there?
Yes.
Oh, we can hear them. Yes.
Yeah, we couldn't hear
you. We could see you guys. We just couldn't hear you, unfortunately. That was the case, but it's great to have you guys on the show. First of all, MIJO, scoring that first goal in the semi-final, how'd you feel?
Yeah, good, Tonch. Yeah, we got off to a good start, so that was important for us last night. So, yeah, no, it was good.
Now, how did you guys see the competition this year? It was a little bit different to last year's competition. If we put the ladders up, we had the top 9 teams, and it really was. I mean, even Barwon heads in the end. I think they ended up defeating Geelong Rangers in the last game of the season or something like that. But overall, it was a lot better structured competition this year from what we looked at it. But how did you guys see it as well?
Yeah, ROCKY? I think. Look, most of the teams, I'd say probably the top 5 teams were sort of more even than majority of the other ones that sort of fell a little bit behind, which and we thought sort of the competition was pretty even with like Armstrong and your Leopold and Surf Coast, Barwon. That was probably the ones that we always sort of had a good game against. And we felt like that the competition was pretty even in with those guys every time we played them. So we've lost a couple and won a couple against them. So it's always been really even game.
Yeah. Has there been any talk about next season competition-wise? Has there been any talk that, it's going to stay as is and it's going to be, 1 team up or 2 teams down or 2 teams up from the second division? Will it be a straight-out promotion relegation, or is it how it's been the last few years? You just wait and see what the pre-season brings you?
Yeah, well, that's it, really. It's more that, normally the bottom side sort of drops off top side in Div 2 comes up, but then you don't know, because we've had seasons where we've only had 7 in the actual league. This year's probably the most we've had. I think we've got 9 teams this year, which is probably the most we've had in the last, few years that we've been in that division. So, but we find that, the division is a good competition. And then sometimes, the people from Div 2 coming up, playing, in the Div 1 do find that it is a completely different competition as well.
Yeah, Mia, you've been playing at Bell Park for many, many years. You've had a long and illustrious career playing in various state leagues with various clubs as well, North Geelong and Corio, to name a few. But this year you had I guess the added beauty of floodlights at Bell Park Sports Club and a lot of Friday night games. And there's nothing like playing games under lights, especially in the middle of winter, isn't it? It's a completely different atmosphere. How did you find that this year, and how much did that add to the enjoyment or otherwise of playing local league football?
Yeah, 100%, Tonchi. It's been a great asset to Bell Park. We didn't lose a game this year at home, and we had many Friday night games. We really enjoyed it as a team, and I think we got the best out of it. So it was good.
Now, before we get to talking about more of the improvements there at Bell Park Sports Club, we'll bring Gavin back on. Gavin, you've been involved with Armstrong United now for a few years, and it's the region's youngest club now, along with FC Leopold, who is 1 year older than Armstrong United. But it's great to see the club slowly developing and slowly growing, and there's always talk about, sub-regional facilities and new facilities down Armstrong Creekway, because it is such a growth area. But that's one of the things that's probably hampered growth, has the facilities, or the lack of adequate facilities, I suppose. How's the club functioning, or how's the club coping at the moment with the extraordinary growth of football down in the south?
Well, like I said, Tonchi, the growth has been phenomenal. We've had an under-14s team for the first time this year, so we're probably, like I say, 12 months behind Leopold, and we're hoping that some of those younger guys and girls will come through to the senior teams next year. But this year we had a couple of under-12s teams that made finals, so first juniors teams to make finals. So the largest numbers we've had in juniors for a long time. But facilities-wise, we share with cricket, we share with footy. We have one ground with lights, so we get an awful lot of foot traffic through that. And apart from the pitch itself being a bit of disrepair on one side, we're making do. But I think the numbers do warrant us getting our own facility, and I've kind of noted that in the kind of future plans for this side of the town. I think there's an awful lot of infrastructure in the northern part of Geelong, but we're really craving something down here to help with Barwood and Surf Coast with the volumes that we get down
just
here.
Recently we had the G21 soccer strategy, the draft soccer strategy, which on this show we've really tried to harp onto people to really put their feedback big time. But we see during the week that Western United obviously have got finally they've started getting their facility up and running, and it's just a shame that originally they earmarked the Geelong region as their home, and they were going to build all sorts of facilities around here. And unfortunately, we've missed out. But in your sort of interactions with people at the club and the local politicians and local business people, is there hope that Armstrong United eventually, sooner rather than later, will get some adequate facilities, or at least facility improvements? Who knows?
I think that's the best answer I can give you, Tonchi. It gets talked about all the time. Like I said, we've got the numbers, we've got the growth, we've got the ambition. We really want to take the club, we want to kick on further, but we can't do that with the facilities we've got at the moment. We can't be training on the same pitch as AFL 3 nights a week, and we're trying to train 2 nights a week with nearly 300 juniors and then senior men, senior women playing on the same pitch as well as AFL. It's not going to work long term. So the sooner that kind of process gets into place and we get our own pitch, then the better it is for all sport down here, because AFL, certainly they're going to continue to grow and they're going to want the foot traffic on that pitch as well. So something needs to be done, but higher powers rather than me, Tonchi, need to decide that and probably decide.
Yeah, we're talking about the future of the sport here, but let's talk about the immediate future, and that is Sunday's grand final. Now, Rocky, off air earlier today, you're telling me this is a bit of a grudge match, this game against Armstrong United, because The Pelicans were the ones that knocked you guys out of the finals race last year after you secured the minor premiership last year. And this year, the same sort of thing. You've secured the minor premiership, but this time you guys meet in the big dance. You must be really, really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, well, definitely for us, it's just definitely a big game, obviously. But obviously with the boys, just completely different this year, mindset and everything, even different playing tactics and a few different ideas this year, which it's sort of everyone's enjoyed and it's been really good. But obviously playing against them, they are a good side, but it's anyone's taking on the day, and we'll just go in with our sort of best attitude, best side, and may the best team win, I say.
Very diplomatic answer there by Rocky. Mio, what about you? You must be chafing at the bit, and once that white line fever, you cross that white line on Sunday, the mild-mannered MIJO MARINOVIC will become an absolute terrier. You must be really, really chafing at the bit to take the ground on Sunday, are you?
Oh yeah, Tonch. I love these big games. Yeah. I love winning. Got to add a few more trophies into that trophy cabinet at home. So yeah, no, I'm up for it for sure.
Yeah. Now, Gav, last year you were the hunter, I guess. Now you're the hunted in that sense. But look, if we put it into perspective, Bell Park did finish minor premiers and that sort of stuff. So in your opinion, who do you think is the favourites and who do you think is the underdogs?
I think it's fair to say that we're the underdogs, Tonchi. Minor premiers 2 years in a row. The way Rocky's got them playing, they're a really well organised team. They're a physical team. They've got strength all across the pitch. We match up quite well. Different types of styles, different types of players that we've got knocking around. I think the last, if I look back over the history, we've kind of won one, drawn a couple, and lost a couple. Yeah. So, like Rocky said, I think it's anyone's game. I think it's just going to be what comes down to the 90 minutes and who's going to eke out that extra 1 or 2%.
Now, Rocky, on the weekend, you had Morris Del Vecchio sent off for his second bookable offence. He's going to get a bit embarrassed about this. But how much of a disadvantage or advantage is that not having Morris in the lineup on Sunday?
Well, to be honest, he's the type of player that really gets the boys revved up. So he's definitely going to still be part of that team anyway. Look, I guess to our advantage is there is a couple of boys that were sort of stepped aside, missing out. Not that they weren't good enough, it's just because our selection is big and, injuries and everyone sort of just come back at the right time. So it's just a matter of, who shapes up the best over Thursday night, and then we make our selection and go from there. But either way, Morris will still be there to give the boys a massive support. He's probably the guy that gets the boys up and going and gives them, I guess, he's the one that brings the old fruit basket along and say, come on, boys, get the fruit in to you, get going. So he'll still be there.
Yeah. Now, what absolutely just amazes me about Morris, he's an old school buddy of mine, and I tell you what, he's still pulling on the boots after all these years. That's quite an incredible achievement. He's an absolute inspiration. Now, Mio, we asked this question for the two combatants from the Women's Division 1 Grand Final, Surf Coast and Deakin. But in your eyes, what's the hardest thing about coming up against Armstrong United? What's the thing that's going to be most difficult on Sunday in the Grand Final clash?
I think just solid overall. They've got a good defence and they're structured pretty well. So, they're not easy to beat. And we've had some tough games, so just overall they're solid. So just breaking the lines and getting through, and that's it.
Augurs well for a great contest. Now, Gavin, to you, in your opinion, what's the most difficult thing about coming up against Bell Park?
Like I said, they're well organised, they're physical, and they're probably about a foot taller than most of my players. So trying to keep away from free kicks and corners will be number one priority this week.
Excellent. Well, gents, have we got any confirmation about times or anything like that? We asked the women's team coaches, and they're sort of none the wiser at the moment. But Gavin, firstly to you, have you heard anything about when the fixtures are likely to be or finalised?
As far as I'm aware, it's 5 o'clock. That's what we're working towards on Sunday. I think that's what came out, but nothing surprises me with FV's fixturing. So we'll wait and see and find out when they tell
Rocky,
us.
MIJO, have you heard anything?
Yeah. Well, I think like Gavin said, it's pretty much 5 o'clock as far as we know. There's always been a big talk between the boys and everyone to say, why don't they do like a Friday night under lights or a Saturday where, the family gets along and it's, it sort of gets the crowd going, gets the atmosphere going, and gets a lot more people coming because people got young kids going to school on a Monday, families, 5 o'clock. It does get hard. So it's more for FFV, to really consider something like that.
And I know from a personal point of view, where I have been covering the games for the Geelong Advertiser, it misses the deadline for the Monday edition as well. And in years gone by, when they had the 3 o'clock games, we'd be sort of just as the game's finishing, we'd be sending through the scores and what unites, and it'd be just a mad rush. But we'd make the deadline. When the games went to 5 p.m. and 7 p.m., it was just forget it. It was going to avoid that as well. So who knows what's going to happen? But gents, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Really, really appreciate it. Wishing you both all the very, very best. The weather looks like it's going to be 24, 25 or thereabouts. So either way, it is going to be absolutely fantastic and a real feast of football this Sunday at Hume Reserve. We're expecting a massive crowd, beautiful day. So we wish you all the very best. And once again, thank you both thank you to all three of you for joining us here on the Game of Two Halves podcast.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Conchi.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Good stuff, guys. Well done. Thank you. And that, folks, that pretty much brings us to the very end of the show, the grand final preview edition of the Game of Two Halves podcast. It's going to be an absolute fantastic weekend of football this week. As we said, we don't know the full details, but on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page, as soon as we find out results, we'll pass that news on as well. But also do to keep an eye out on the My Game Day website, the Geelong Region Soccer Competitions website. I mean, it hasn't even got a name. And no doubt in the next few days, we'll find out exactly what is going on. But in the meantime, thank you very, 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 very much for joining us here on the Game of Two Halves podcast. A big, big shout out to our major sponsor, the Gordon. And we look forward to seeing your company, at the grand final at MIJO Reserve for the women's on the Saturday and at Hume Reserve for the men's on the Sunday. And don't be strangers. Do come along and say hello if you happen to see me or anyone from the Game of Two Halves podcast there this year. Until next Monday night, thank you for joining us. Good night.